The Patriots just cut ties with Cole Strange, the number 29 overall pick in the 2022 draft, and one of the last first-rounders from the Bill Belichick era. But this isn't just about one player, it's about a complete power shift in New England. How does a first-rounder go from starting every game as a rookie to being waived before his fourth season? And what does that say about Mike Vrabel's vision for the roster? I'll show how a draft surprise, a major injury, and a coaching reset combined to end his run in New England. To understand it, we need to start with how his selection shocked the league in the first place. Cole Strange's NFL story began as one of the most surprising draft moments in recent Patriots history, but it ultimately turned into a tale of promise, derailed by injury and shifting priorities. When New England spent the 29th overall pick of the 2022 draft on Strange, the shock was immediate. Coming out of Chattanooga, a program rarely associated with first-round offensive linemen, his name sparked disbelief across the league. Analysts on live broadcasts questioned the move in real time, and the clips of their stunned reactions quickly went viral on social media. Even fans who had never heard of Strange before suddenly recognized his name because of that draft night buzz. Bill Belichick, however, was unshaken. He made the pick with confidence, publicly praising Strange's athleticism and technical tools as the kind of traits worth building around. That commitment only heightened the pressure. If Strange succeeded, it would validate Belichick's reputation for spotting overlooked talent. If he failed, the choice would underline just how far Belichick's drafting instincts had drifted from the consensus. Early signs suggested Belichick might have been onto something. Strange started all 17 games as a rookie in 2022, holding down a starting guard spot every week. While he wasn't dominant, he posted a 54.6 overall grade from Pro Football Focus and showed the ability to handle NFL speed and strength. He had hiccups against elite defensive tackles, but there was real value in his consistency. He gave the team stability at a position that often struggles with turnover. The trajectory shifted sharply late in 2023. Strange tore his patellar tendon, an injury that can fundamentally limit an offensive lineman's ability to anchor, bend, and play with leverage. More than just pain or rehab, it raised questions about whether he could regain the movement that once made him a promising fit. The result was a lost year. He missed most of 2024 while working back from surgery and appeared in only 3 games late in the season, seeing his snaps primarily at center after activation. In his absence, roster dynamics changed quickly. Younger players filled the void, gained experience, and earned coaches' trust. By the time Strange returned, he wasn't penciled in as the starter at his old left guard spot anymore. Instead, the team moved him around, testing him at center and shifting him into different looks, signs they no longer saw him as the foundation piece Belichick once described. Compounding the problem, New England made a clear financial decision in the spring when they declined Strange's fifth-year option. That was more than just paperwork. It was a signal to the league and to Strange himself that the organization no longer viewed him as part of their long-term plans. Without that commitment, every rep he took in 2025 carried the weight of evaluation, not investment. The combination of injury limitations, emerging younger linemen, and the lack of organizational backing pushed Strange into a precarious spot. What began as a bold, confident draft pick had transformed into a cautionary tale of how quickly circumstances can shift in the NFL. But his release wasn't simply the product of a knee injury or lost development time. It reflected something bigger happening in Foxborough, a change in philosophy, and a willingness to move on from the symbols of the Belichick era. That shift comes into sharper focus when you look at how Mike Vrabel is putting his imprint on the Patriots. This is where the story of Cole Strange connects to something larger, the Vrabel effect, and the steady dismantling of the Belichick era's roster model. In Belichick's time, high draft picks often received extended opportunities, even when their performance lagged. A first-rounder could struggle yet still be protected with roster spots or role changes because the investment was so high. Vrabel's staff, by contrast, has shown less attachment to draft pedigree. If a younger player proves more effective in camp, draft status doesn't shield the veteran. That's how Strange, a former first-rounder, lost ground quickly. Under Vrabel, third-round rookie Jared Wilson overtook him for the left guard role during 2025 camp. And it wasn't limited to Strange. other recent picks like 2025 5th rounder Braden Swinson and 7th rounder Kobe Minor were also cut, underscoring that roster spots are earned, not assumed. For fans, Vrabel's hiring initially grabbed attention as a homecoming. A Super Bowl champion returning to New England carried sentimental weight, but sentiment was never what this move was about. Vrabel arrived to help reshape the roster, and his values show up in the choices being made. Younger competition is promoted, depth roles churn quickly, and roster continuity is treated as a product of performance, not history. It's a culture marker. Structure, toughness, accountability, applied directly to roster decisions. Training camp illustrated the new approach in real time. Strange entered with veteran status and penciled-in starter reps, but Jared Wilson performed with more consistency, sharper technique, and better durability, making it harder to justify Strange's hold on the position. The hierarchy shifted quietly at first, then with clarity once reps increased. Strange was on the wrong end of that shift, moved down the depth chart as the younger linemen gained trust. And then came the big picture decisions. New England invested heavily in stabilizing the left side of the line through the 2025 draft. They spent a top pick on Will Campbell, a massive talent designed to anchor at tackle. They backed it up with Jared Wilson in the 3rd round, a guard who immediately slotted into the competition. Together, those investments reduced the space available to a banged-up veteran searching for footing. Strange's prior status mattered far less when the team had already committed hard draft capital to new cornerstones on the same side of the line. The financials further prove how firmly the Patriots are leaning into these changes. By cutting Strange, they absorbed roughly $3.9 million in dead money. That figure is not insignificant, especially for a team trying to reset its cap across multiple years. Coaches and executives don't take that kind of hit lightly. Swallowing it shows they were prioritizing scheme fit and timeline over salvaging a draft investment from the old regime. In plain terms, they would rather pay the cost now than carry forward a player they no longer saw as part of the future. Step back, and the pattern becomes clear. Albert Breer noted that aside from Christian Gonzalez, nearly all of the Belichick-era first-rounders are gone. Strange's release adds another example to the list, but the purpose goes beyond erasing old names. It reads less like a purge and more like a reset, deliberate clearing of earlier investments in order to align the roster with Vrabel's system, his timeline, and his definition of who the Patriots should be. That's why Strange's story resonates. His exit tells us less about one player and far more about the philosophy that now governs Foxborough. This wasn't only about performance metrics or medical setbacks, it was about fit in a reshaped organization. And that makes his release not just a transaction, but a marker of transition, one that points directly toward what's next for the franchise. Cole Strange's path shows how 3 factors intersected to shape his release. Belichick's surprising first-round gamble in 2022 created a starter who logged all 17 games, but delivered only a 54.6 PFF rookie grade. A torn patellar tendon in late 2023 forced him into just 3 appearances the next year, leaving his long-term role uncertain. And under Vrabel, roster resets plus major draft investments. Jared Wilson at guard, Will Campbell at tackle meant Strange was cut, with New England absorbing about $3.9 million in dead money. Was this the right call given the cost and commitment to younger linemen? Tell me in the comments. And if you follow Sports Business Breakdowns, subscribe for more concise analysis that track roster moves as organizational strategy.